Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Season and Serve vlog. My name is Melissa and in today's video we are making a delicious recipe for Lunar New Year, steamed scallop dumplings. Dumplings are a very auspicious food to eat during Lunar New Year because they represent wealth and prosperity, and they say the more dumplings you eat, the more wealthy you will be. Now there are tons of dumpling recipes out there, but these steamed scallop ones are a little bit different and very unique to celebrate Lunar New Year. So if you want to see how I make my steamed scallop dumplings, just keep on watching. We'll start off by preparing our aromatic vegetables that'll help season these steamed scallop dumplings, and we're using scallions, jalapeno, and ginger. And we'll prepare the scallions first. Now I'm removing the white ends of the scallions because they can be a little bit too strong and overpower the flavor of the delicate scallops. So I'm just going to cut those off and use the dark green ends. The dark green ends are a little bit milder and they add a beautiful green color to the dumplings. Make sure to chop these finely, and then we'll set those aside while we prepare our jalapeno. Now this is a very uncommon ingredient to use in dumplings, especially Asian style dumplings, but I like to add it because jalapenos pair with scallops so perfectly, and they have a nice floral aroma that doesn't have a lot of spice, and it just marries so perfectly with the scallops. To prepare the jalapenos, I'll remove the seeds and the membrane from the pepper, and then julienne it, and then cut it crosswise into tiny little cubes. Now this jalapeno pepper was quite large, and I actually cut up a little bit more than I needed for this recipe. So you only need about 2 tablespoons of jalapeno pepper, so I'm just going to set that aside, and then we'll prepare our ginger. Now we need ginger for 2 parts of the recipe. We need 1 part for the dumplings themselves, and we also need some ginger for the dipping sauce. I'll actually prepare the ginger for the dipping sauce first, and I want this julienne. So once the ginger is peeled and sliced, I'm just cutting it into nice thin tiny slices. And this will add really great flavor to the dipping sauce. Then for the rest of the ginger, I'm going to grate using a microplane so it integrates really well with all the scallops and the other ingredients that we have, and I'm just using a microplane to do this. Now that all of our ingredients are prepared, we will work on our scallops, and these are the scallops that I use. They aren't the big sea scallops. I actually got the smaller scallops in the grocery store this time because they were a bit cheaper. And since we're chopping these up anyways, I don't need a nice big one for a nice presentation. So once you have these washed and dried thoroughly, add them to a food processor and just pulse it only 4 times. You don't want to chop this up finely, you still want to have nice big chunks of scallops. After just a few pulses in the food processor, the scallop should look like this, and we're just going to simply transfer it to a mixing bowl. And of course, if you don't have a food processor, you can do this by hand using a knife. To help bind the scallop mixture together, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Then we're going to add all of our delicious seasonings. So we'll start off with a tablespoon of Shaoxing cooking wine, a 1/4 teaspoon of soy sauce, and 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil. I'll also add some sea salt to make sure everything is seasoned properly, as well as some ground black pepper. And if you want to be more traditional, you can use white pepper instead of black pepper, but I personally don't enjoy the flavor of white pepper. Once all the seasonings have been added, we'll give this a quick mix, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients, including our ginger, our jalapeno, and our beautiful chopped scallions. We'll give everything a final mix through, and then I'll place it in the fridge to rest for 30 minutes while we prepare our dumpling wrappers. So in this recipe, I'm using fresh dumplings, and you can find these at any local Asian grocery store. I'm using the ones wrapped in a bag, but you can sometimes find them vacuum sealed next to the tofu in the refrigerated section. But this is what the dumpling wrappers look like, and when you're making homemade dumplings, you want to make sure that you roll out the dumpling wrappers a little bit, especially the store-bought ones, because they are fairly thick. And to do this, I'm actually using my pestle to roll out the dumplings from my mortar and pestle set. This just happens to be a good little tool for me, but if you have a small wooden dowel, a small rolling pin, or just a regular rolling pin, that will also work too. Now to roll out the dumplings, I like to give it a couple rolls just to flatten it out and make it a little bit thinner. And then I go in and thin the edges, and you want to make sure to do this because when you fold the dumplings, they will become thicker, and you want to make sure that they will cook through. So roll the edges thin and rotate the dumpling wrapper all the way around until all the edges are nice and thinned out. And I'll show you the process again here. Now this does take a little bit of practice, but after a couple dumpling wrappers you will definitely get the hang of it. So make sure to roll all your dumpling wrappers out, and then we'll get to filling our dumplings. Now to fill the dumpling wrapper, take it and lay it in your hand and then dip your finger into some water. This is just plain water, and this will help bind and seal the dumpling. Then take a heaping tablespoon of the scallop filling and then put it into the center of the dumpling wrapper. You do want to make sure you fill these quite substantially so that you get a nice good bite of scallop when you bite into them. Then all you have to do is fold it in half, and you can pleat it like I'm doing. So I just fold it kind of over my thumb and then pinch, over my thumb and pinch. And I just repeat that all the way around the perimeter of the dumpling. If you have another dumpling folding technique, you can totally do that too, but this is what I like to do when I make my dumplings. And there you have it. One beautiful dumpling down, and we're just going to set this aside on a parchment lined baking sheet while we prepare the rest of them. Now that the dumplings are all ready to go, we are going to steam them. So I take a medium-sized pan that'll just fit my steaming basket and fill it with 1 inch of water. And then for my steaming basket, I'm just preparing it by lining it with a pre-made parchment insert. You can also pick these up at your local Asian grocery store. Next, I'm going to place the scallop dumplings into the steamer and space them out so that they're not touching. You want to make sure that there's steam going up in between the dumplings so that they cook evenly. When the pan of water is steaming, it's ready to cook, so we're just going to place the steaming basket on top of the pan and let it steam for about 8 minutes. While the dumplings are steaming, we can make our dipping sauce, and I'm adding some black vinegar to the ginger I chopped up earlier, along with some soy sauce and some sesame oil to bring all the flavors together. That is all you need to make the best dipping sauce ever. The tangy vinegar goes so great with the scallops. And of course, you can get the full recipe for this dipping sauce and the scallop dumplings on my blog, which I'll leave linked down below. So after 8 minutes, the dumplings will be cooked, and you'll know that they're fully done when the filling is nice and firm inside the dumpling. All you have to do is remove them from the steaming basket, arrange on a plate, and serve up with the dipping sauce. I like to serve them with a little bit of chopped scallions on top just to make it look bright and beautiful, and that's all there is to it. And so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me make my steamed scallop dumplings. These are so delicious and a little bit unique to serve for Lunar New Year. You'll get the beautiful flavor of the delicate scallop mixed with the scallions and the jalapeno, and of course the dipping sauce, especially with that black vinegar, really ties everything together. And again, you can get the full recipe on my blog with all the measurements and directions, and I'll leave that linked in the description box below. And while you're there, make sure to check out other blog posts on my website for other Lunar New Year recipes that'll go great with these steamed scallop dumplings. And finally, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you hit the red subscribe button down below, and also check me out on social media at Seasoned Served Blog. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to enjoy the best of the season every day.